Just a short video in response to some of the posts I put up on LinkedIn. So one of the things that I'm often talking about is hotels, hotel safes, hotel doors, um, and the general idea that the room is yours. One of the things that's important to recognise in a hotel is it's not your home. Okay, so a lot of people, and it becomes like a habit. So a lot of people go through the stage of hard day at work or a really good fun day in a holiday and coming back to the hotel, and they treat it as though it's home. It's not home. Okay, at home you have, or hopefully you have, the only access to the building. So there aren't hundreds of people that have access to your room and your front door. Now, in a hotel, the legitimate people who have access to your room are huge. You have security, you have housekeeping, you have maintenance, you have security, um, and all of those different groups of people have legitimate access to your room. Now, on top of that, there's potentially people who shouldn't have access to your room. So, recently I've had a lot of feedback of people that have been in their room, particularly late at night, and they hear people trying all the doors. Um, and that's quite common. Now, um, that total number of people is a very large number. Okay, so that's assuming that the person on reception isn't given a note, £50 in the backhand, to copy a room key and give it to one of their friends, someone who is bribing them, has an interest, or paying them off to gain access to your room. So assuming that doesn't happen, the legitimate access to your room is very, very high. And that's one of the reasons that I talk about security on the doors. Most hotel doors have very variable security. Most have just a lock. Some have a lock and a spy hole. Often the spy hole is obscured. It doesn't give you a view of what's going on around. It's smoked up. It's damaged. Some have a security chain, some don't. And often the security chain is fitted with the smallest possible screws that you can get away with. So one good hard shove on the door and that door's going to fly open. So one of the reasons that I try and highlight all the different doors, and as I go around traveling with customers and clients, I get the opportunity to stay in a lot of hotels. And I don't stay in fantastic hotels, they're just normal business hotels, average, mid-range, sometimes cheaper, sometimes a bit nicer, but normally just mid-range business hotels that everyone stays in. And it shows how variable they are. I'd like to say they're all fantastically secure, and they're not. They're very, very different levels. It's why I always suggest just taking a rubber doorstop, just put the door wedge in. It becomes very easy. There's specialist ones such as the door jammer, but just the simple rubber door wedge that you can get from B&Q or any other place like Sainsbury's or whatever, Pound or something like that, very, very cheap. Just wedge that under the door, and it just gives you that prevention. With the hotel safe, we have to remember that from the hotel's perspective, they can't afford for you to leave your room and then never have access to the safe again. So there has to be an override. There has to be an override for the person who locks the door on the safe, leaves, and tells no one what the number is or how to access it. So there has to be a hotel override. And that means that anything you put in the safe can be accessed by the hotel if they decide to do so. Now, I'm not saying that all hotels are full of thieves, because the majority aren't, but it is possible. I remember an incident when we were on a business trip to somewhere in Europe. I can't remember where it was. It might have been Frankfurt, it might have been Amsterdam. And all of us were staying in there, and a whole load of rooms got emptied, and all the safes got emptied. And the reason my one wasn't was that I had the TV on and the lights were on. So, they assumed that I was in the room. So, access to the safe is always available to someone if they have those bad intentions. Now, why would you then use a hotel safe? Well, the advantage of using a hotel safe is the chances are it's safer than carrying it around with you. You're much more likely to either lose it or get physically robbed than you are to have your hotel safe compromised. And the second thing is, we always suggest, and I always suggest to everybody, you should always have travel insurance, because you never know when you're going to get taken ill. You never know when something's going to go wrong. And if you put stuff in the hotel safe and it gets taken, the the travel insurance will just pay out. It's not a problem. They always pay out if it's been put in the safe. You can't do any more than, what insurance relies on reasonable behaviour, and putting stuff in the safe is deemed to be reasonable, so you will always get your payout. I touched on it a little bit before. If you're in one of these hotel rooms that you have the little plastic credit card type key, and you need to put that into a little slot by the door to activate the electrics, always ask for two. It doesn't matter if you're on your own, always ask for two. And when you go out, just leave it in. Forget being green for the night. Just leave it in the slot, leave your TV on, leave a couple of lights on, and people will assume someone's in the room. Is it foolproof? Again, no, it's not. But it's more likely that people will just go on to the next room, go in and take stuff out of their safe, rather than fearing the fact that you could be just sat at the other side of the door. So they're my tips. Why do we concentrate on it? It's because typically business people, we travel all the time, even if it's only, on secondment, or you're traveling to customers, or you're traveling to meet people, or even if you're on holiday. We don't want to be robbed of our passports and that when we're on holiday. So it's a valid area to really look at, and it's such a simple little thing to think of. 2 key cards, door wedge, and use all the security features on the door, but don't assume that you are the only person that has access to that room. You don't. There could be, within that whole hotel environment, there could be a very, very large number of people that could have access to your room. And that's without the people who have illegitimate access to the room. I hope that helps. And I hope it answers the question that I've asked. Thank you.